Good day, Davao, Mindanao. Welcome to Pambansang Dialogo. Pambansang Dialogo is a TV talk show aired daily at Sky Cable, Channel 62 from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and daily replay from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pambansang Dialogo talks about a lot of conflicts of various origins, of various types in Davao, in Mindanao, and those that affects the whole country. Today, ang pag-usapan po natin ay yung konflikto sa Sabah, no? The Sabah Conflict, and we'll try to talk as far as the historical context of the conflict, the issues that are now being presented to us on a day-to-day basis, and the future of this conflict or the way forward to, as our guest would explain or probably articulate kung ano yung nakikita niyang future ng conflict na ito. So our guest is no less than the director of Qualam Institute of Ateneo de Davao University, Datu Sinsuat, Lidasan. Good morning, Muss.
Hi, good morning, Ed. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good morning sa mga nanonood ng TV show na ito, and maraming salamat sa pag-guest at mabigyan ng opportunity to give the views of Qualam about the Sabah issue.
Thank you, Muss. In fact, I'm very thankful that tayo na pagbigyan ni Muss na to share the views, his personal and views of Qualam about the conflict. Now, siguro dito muna tayo sa history, Muss, no? Maraming taong hindi nakakaintindi at hindi nakakaalam kung saan nanggaling itong conflict na ito. Para sa iba, parang isang bagay na bumulaga, especially to our youth, no? Yung mga kabataan na hindi nila naabot yung nangyari nung araw. So, can you give us and our public the historical context of this conflict?
Okay, so first of all, we have to look into the Sabah issue as not an issue that emerged a few months ago or 10 years or even 20 years ago. The Sabah history, we have to trace it back over 100 or even more than 100 years in the making. As you can see, dito sa Southeast Asia, Southeast Asian countries, we are once colonized by the West, by the British, by the Spaniards, by the Portuguese. So even at the later part, the Americans. So dapat alam natin na history ng Southeast Asian countries, what we have now are governments that are post-colonial governments who inherited the administration of these territories from the colonial government. Like for example, the Malaysia government is only a very new government, maybe if I'm not mistaken, 1960s or 1970s. Ang sa atin, 1930s. So, itong Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, at one time, like we belong in indigenous people's community, no? At one time, we do not have a structured government na parang territory mo is defined as Philippines is defined as Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, or Malaysia is defined as a certain territory. So yung Sabah issue na yan, ang history niya is, at one point, there is an ongoing sultanates, yung mga Sultanate of Sulu, Sultanate of Brunei, na according to studies, sinasabi na the Sultanate of Brunei gave the authority or the administration of Sabah or Northern Borneo to the Sultanate of Sulu as a gift, as a token of at one point in time nagkaroon sila ng problema. They were being invaded by certain invaders. So tumulong po yung Sultanate of Sulu, yung mga Tausugs, and for that help binigyan sila ng authority to Sabah. Okay.
So historically, North Borneo was owned by Brunei.
Yeah,
yung Sultanate of Brunei. So parang iniregalo ito sa Sultanate of Sulu, yes, sa mga Tausugs, parang dahil natulungan sila sa isang armed conflict that they had before.
Yeah,
okay.
Before.
So paanong pumasok ang Malaysia at paano may kwento about the rent, yung rental.
Yes.
Anong ba ang mga arrangement nila?
The Malaysian government somehow recognizes the authority of the Sulu Sultanate of Sabah. And thus, at one point, when the Bornean, when the British company, when there was a British company who would like to develop Sulu, so yung British na yon, kasi Malaysia, colonize yan ng British noon. So wala pa yung Malaysia sa picture, it was the British company, British government rather, and the Sulu Sultanate ang nag-uusap. Meron silang kasulatan na okay, they will develop certain parts of Sabah, and they'll pay certain amount to the Sultanate. Now, nung nagkaroon ng independence yung Malaysia, and then na-define yung territories nila, they wanted to include Sabah. Nung pagkuhan nila, so ngayon, meron namang another kasulatan, ang Malaysian and ang Sulu Sultanate, in which data or facts are showing to us that they are actually paying rental of the lease or of using or having the utilization of the resources of Sabah.
Parang merong word na ginamit na the word dalawang interpretation is either rent or seed ba yan?
Yeah, seed. Almost the same din yun sa in other treaties kasi iba yung mga lengguwahe like the Tausug language or even the British. At some point, yung parang ang ginawa is yung kasulatan na yun ay binili, parang ganon. Kaya once you bought it, so you cede your ownership, parang wala ka ng ownership, parang ganon. But in the eyes and the interpretation of the Sultanate of Sulu, it is actually a rental. Because how can you buy something, kumbaga parang one time, bibili mo isang bagay, bayaran mo ng buo. Pero kung installment mo, so diba,
so the proof is sige silang bayad every year.
Yeah.
When was the last payment based facts that you have gathered? When was the last payment?
I think in 2005 and in 2006. But we cannot blame also the Malaysian government kasi nagkakaproblema sila. It's because the Sultanate of Sulu also had internal conflict. Nagkaroon ng problems, nagkaroon ng internal dynamics. Kasi doon sa kasulatan, ang Malaysia they will pay only to the heirs and successor. So meaning to say, you have to be an heir at the same time, you have to be a successor. But ang nangyari ngayon is, there are so many heirs, maraming claimants that they are heirs of the Sultanate of Sulu, the Kirams and all other clans and families. Now, at one point, umabot ng 21 claimants yan, Ed, no? So, but ang problem dyan is yung successor. Because yung last na Kiram, na in 1930s na Sultan of Sulu na Kiram, was childless.
Namatay ng walang anak.
Namatay siya ng walang anak. And siyempre, sa culture ng mga sultanato, hindi pwedeng mag-rule yung babae or gano'n. But within the Sulu Sultanate, meron silang protocols, meron silang yung Bichara Council of Elders, yun ang nagde-decide who would be the successor interest. Now, if you try to look at it, even, kasi may flag ang Sulu Sultanate. A flag that is even far more older than the Philippine flag. Now, in that flag, doon nag-represent the three ruling families. So, pag hindi, like the Kirams were there, they represent the Kris. I forgot the terms, yung mga different symbols or emblems in the flag. And yung two other families were also present. Now, the council has to decide na kapag, siyempre, if you are a member of the Sulu Sultanate, you are a Tausug and you are not a Moro, you are not a Filipino, because you believe that you belong to a different nation, a different state.
Okay.
Ganon.
Tama, no?
Yeah.
So, meron talaga siyang yung Sultanates was a government.
Yeah, it is an institution.
In fact, a government that had agreements or treaties with other governments. No? Even before na-create yung Philippine government. Now, so, yun yung brief history about it. And anong nangyari when the Philippine government was already formed, then the Malaysian government was already formed, okay, nagrental. ano ang nagiging relationship ng Philippine government, Malaysian, and the Kirams as far as the Sabah issues concerned? Anong mga positions and interests of the parties?
Ang Malaysian government kasi, they maintain the sultanates. Yung system na yun, as a system, di ba? Meron silang parliament, and meron silang kings, mga different sultans. Marami yan eh. May Sultan of Johor, Sultan of, I think 5 or 6 different kingdoms yan dyan sa Malaysia. Now, ang problem naman dito sa Pilipinas is the 1935 Constitution, at the time of President Manuel L. Quezon, he made sure na hindi i-recognize ng Philippine government ang any sultanate and any form of Datuism. So, yung Sultanate of Sulu somehow lost its existence in the eyes of the Philippine government, in the eyes of the world, because of yung influx of development, influx of post-colonial governments, nawala sa ere itong Sultanate of Sulu. But the thing is, yung mga tao dyan, they still believe that there is the Sultan. They are followers of the Sultan, and even as far as Sabah, ganun din yung mentality. And in fact, this reflects yung problem natin sa Mindanao, in which for how many years, nagkaroon na ng MNLF, nagkaroon ng MILF, yung gusto ng taong right to self-determination, yun yung lumalabas pa rin na issue.
Now, you mentioned about the problems in Mindanao,
Yeah.
the uprising of the MNLF. For the sake of our younger audience, anong relationship nun sa Sultanate sa Sabah claim and the MNLF as led by Nur Miswari?
Okay, the MNLF is an offshoot of the 1968 Jabida massacre, in which it was a move by the previous administration or President Marcos to invade Sabah. In a documents we've read about the Corregidor massacre, the Philippine government at that time, syempre medyo malakas yung Pilipinas sa time na yon. Mas malakas tayo kumpara sa Malaysia. Mas advanced yung government natin, advanced yung military natin. So they trained these groups of Tausugs who were promised to be given 50 pesos a month to be mercenaries. And for a certain time, yung na-train na sila, hindi sila parang nagkaroon ng problems in terms of managing this special group. So nag-mutiny sila because they found out that they're going to invade Sabah, in which they know na mga Tausug sila, they have relatives, they have friends, and ang mga tao doon, fellow Muslims nila. So yung nag-decide na yung military at the time to wipe out yung soldiers na yun, a certain guy was able to escape, and he exposed that mission, and Professor Miswari at the time was a professor of UP, political science professor. Doon na nag-start yung massive organization ng MNLF. And somehow, it advances the cause of the Tausugs and the Bangsamoro, specifically the Tausugs, to unite and really fought the government at that time.
Now, if it is the claim of the Sultanate of Sulu, saan pumasok ang Philippine government? Anong role ng Philippine government? Example, at the time Marcos, gusto niya invade. Anong legal basis niya na kasali siya sa claim na yun?
Meron tayong Salonga, former Senator Salonga, yung 1960s. Meron siya lang mga studies about the claim of Sabah. At that point in time, talagang gusto na ng government kunin yun. Pero ang question dun kasi is, the Sultanate, they do not recognize the Philippine government. So parang territory-wise, sinasabi ng Philippine government, because of the Treaty of Paris in 1898, sinasabi nila na part siya ng Philippine government, Philippine territory. Pero pag tinanong mo naman yung mga tao doon, sabi nila, hindi kami part ng Philippine government because we were never been conquered by the Spaniards. Now,
so iba yung framework
mindset
ng gobyerno.
Iba yung kung makikita mo different path, ito yung ang unang framework diyan is the framework of the Sultanate.
Yeah.
They have their own history, they have their own understanding. Second is the Philippine government na bago lang ginawa, bagong established, has its own understanding towards the area. And now there is another layer na yung self-proclaimed sultan si Kiram na who wants to handle Sabah issue.
So, si Kiram, lumalabas na third party na siya dito?
For me,
But he is carrying the name of the Sultanate of
yeah,
Sulu.
but record show and
Na hindi siya yung...
yeah, yun yung kwan yun yung kwan doon is because yung sultanato kasi ng Sulu medyo na bastardize siya because of the Philippine government not recognizing the sultanates, the datus. So nag-emerge itong mga panibagong mga lahat ng sultan. Magpakatay ka lang ng baka dyan or magpakain ka lang, bigla ka nang naging sultan, ganun. Pero historically, it's not that. May mga criteria and merong council mismo that decides who will be the sultan. And it's like any other form of government na hindi pwedeng para sa sarili mo lang yung pag-claim na yun.
Was an offshoot of the decision of the Marcos administration to invade Sabah.
Yes.
Then as a result, ang naging end result noon is the rebellion led by Nur Miswari.
Yes.
Itong MNLF, no, led by Nur Miswari, is it related by blood or by ethnicity? It's definitely related. Pero by blood and by desire, no, about Sabah, related ba siya?
Yes.
The MNLF supports the Sultanate on its claim ng Sultanate sa Sabah.
I think the history ng MNLF, kung makikita mo, lumakas yung MNLF because it really had the support of the sultans. It really had the support of the datus because alam naman natin na yung mga communities natin dyan sa ARM, Autonomous Region for Muslim Mindanao, or itong mga Muslim communities natin, we are very much datu-centered. So that's one. So there were really a support from...
But can you narrate o enumerate ano itong mga sultanates na ito before na supporting MNLF?
Yung the rise ng MNLF, it was the big families like the Lukman, Sinlanao, the Alontos. These are...
But in terms of sultanates,
yeah, because
anong
they are descendants. Not necessarily the sultanate per se, but the different clans.
Different clans.
Yeah.
Okay. The different clans comprising the sultanates.
Yeah.
So, hindi na sila nag-move as sultanates.
Hindi sila nag-move as a sultanate, pero
the
sultanate is there.
Yeah. At saka, yung clans are part of the sultanates.
Yeah, part of the... If you try to define in one of my
Kasi
papers...
nasira na ngayon sultanates by the act of the Philippine government at the time of Quezon.
Yes,
sa Constitution yun.
Constitution.
Doon na siya, yung legitimacy niya,
nawala.
In the eyes of the law, nawala.
Nawala siya.
Oh.
Pero they still exist.
Okay. Most we'll continue discussing the further details, especially yung paano nangyari itong problema ngayon, yung conflict today, as we see it in TV and hear it on radio, after a quick break. Back to Pambansang Dialogo. Still our guest is Datu Mussolini Sinsuat Lidasan of Qualam Institute of the Ateneo de Davao University. A while ago, we were talking about the history of the Sabah Conflict. Now, gusto sanang pag-usapan natin, Muss, yung current conflict. Based on your readings, analysis, assessments, paano nangyari ito biglang bumulaga lang sa ating society, sa Philippine society, at hindi siya bumulaga in terms of legitimate claims or legal cases, but in armed confrontation pa.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yung nangyari, yung last month na standoff sa Sabah, in which an armed group went to the island of Datu, I forgot the barangay, Pasug yata something. And then, yung point na yun actually is
Lahad Datu.
Lahad Datu, yeah, Lahad Datu. And then it's a reaction of so many things that's going on locally, internationally, even in the Philippines per se. One of this is the ongoing peace talks with the MILF and the Philippine government. So, itong mga taong somehow they feel that they need to be part of the equation. They need to be part of the properly consulted and really pag-usapan yung kanilang mga concerns. And second is, there is this, pero unverified report pa rin, yung parang sinasabi nilang election dito sa Pilipinas come May 2013, election din doon sa Malaysia come June, magkasunod yung election natin. So may mga tao na talagang they think that now is the right time to really push for the claim of Sabah. So pangatlo diyan, yung Sultanate of Sulu kasi, yung legitimate based on the history, tradition and culture of the Sulu Sultanate, meron silang sinasabing legitimate. I'm not saying that it is legitimate, but they themselves are saying that they are legitimate, is the Sultanate of Sulu, Darul Islam. Ito yung pangatlong heirs ng heirs and successor ng Sultanate.
You mentioned ano yun? Ruler Islam?
Darul Islam, yes. Sultanate of Sulu, Darul Islam.
What is that? Family name or?
No, that is the name of the government. Parang yun yung institution nila. That's the name of the state. Okay. Yes. So yung sultan nila doon is coming from a Aradanan family. So yun yung lineage niya. So yung grupo na yun, lumalakas sila. So yung grupo naman ni Kiram, syempre, parang they were threatened of this development. So out of the blue, they really made something na...
So in short, merong yung third scenario na you're explaining, parang merong power struggle.
Yes, power. There's an internal
among
conflict.
the heirs.
Yeah.
Which some of them may not be the successors.
May not be the successor.
Okay. Doon tayo sa number one na scenario
Okay.
na sinasabi mo. And that is the election.
Yes, election.
No? Election in the Philippines and election in Malaysia.
Yes.
So, who are the personalities in this election, especially sa Malaysia? Anong grupo ito?
In Malaysia kasi, there's one big political party in Malaysia, no, yung administration. But there are pockets of opposition now na who sees, siyempre, parang they want to claim or they want to advance their agenda. So, pero yun nga, these are unverified. Mga allegations lang ito na lumalabas sa mga...
Sino yun, Muss? Yun ba yung grupo ni Anwar?
Grupo ni Anwar. Ibrahim.
Anwar Ibrahim.
Anwar.
Siya yung deputy dati na pinailan ng kaso ni Mahathir.
Yeah, pinailan ng
and
kaso.
na-incarcerated. So yung grupo niya ang opposition.
Yeah, and lumalakas sila at some point because yun yung, baga, if merong Arab Spring, meron ding parang nagbo-brood ganun sa...
So, okay. We'll focus on Sabah dahil yun yung territory na in conflict in relation to the election. Sino may control ng Sabah?
Okay.
The opposition or the other side?
May mga, I think as a whole, it's still the administration.
Okay.
Pero the opposition wants to, siyempre gusto rin nilang, because ang Sabah kasi, Northern Borneo, is stronghold ng admin yan.
Admin.
Okay. So
Okay.
they want to, siyempre, kung magkagulo doon, so maapektuhan yung election nila.
So masisira yung image nila. Parang, kita nyo, the ruling party cannot manage the Sabah.
The Sabah issue.
Sabah and, ano ba yun? Sarawak?
Sarawak.
And Sarawak.
Ang hindi lumalabas sa usapan ngayon, sa discussion, is the real inhabitants of Sabah. There are so many indigenous peoples of Sabah. Kadadsans and the Murots, yan yung mga parang dominating, parang Maguindanao, parang Tausug, yan yung malalaki. Pero there are so many other sub-tribes or sub-ethnic groups na hindi sila Tausug, na sila mismo yung, kumbaga, sila na mismo yung hindi IP or lumad doon sa lugar na yon. And itong mga grupo na ito, lumalakas. And sila, hindi rin nila, ang iba sa kanila, hindi nila recognize yung Sulu Sultanate kasi sa kanila is matagal na pinag-usapan yan. Kami,
Ayaw na nilang masakop sa,
ayaw nilang masakop.
sa Sulu Sultanate.
Yes. Kasi parang yung Sulu Sultanate, sinasabi nila, ayaw namin masakop ng Espanyol, kaya meron kami sariling territory. Na yung mga tao sa Sabah, ganun din sila. Kung ayaw din ninyong masakop kayo, bakit naman ninyo kami sinasakop ngayon?
Now, sa Philippine election, how is it related?
At some point, kasi siyempre, lumalakas itong peace talks. Malaking accomplishment ito sa administration.
Pinoy administration.
Kay Pinoy administration. Because this is the first time naman talaga na lumabas na almost all stakeholders in Mindanao supports the peace agreement. And now, if magkaroon ng problem sa peace talks na ito, hindi ito matuloy or something will happen, babackfire ito sa government.
Doon tayo, atras tayo konti. Doon sa hindi matuloy, something will happen because of this issue. Ano yung more or less details nun, Muss? Anong nakikita mong relationship nung Sabah conflict staged by Kirams and the MILF negotiations?
Okay, so ang pwede natin makitang link dyan is Professor Miswari or Chairman Miswari's two wives are actually Kirams. They are descendants, heirs of the Kiram family. So they are saying na parang nawawala sa eksena itong si Miswari. So that's why it led to some point in time to support that conflict in Sabah. Second, yung Malaysia naman kasi siyempre for how many years they have been very accommodating doon sa influx ng mga households.
Filipinos.
Filipinos going to Sabah.
Sinasabi, it's 800,000.
Yeah. And Sabah is the only place na wala tayong consular office. Kasi nga, hindi natin alam paano i-handle. Diba?
Kasi kung maglagay ka, you're recognizing already na ibang country yun.
Ibang country yun. So, and third is, siyempre, strained yung relationship. Yun yung, hindi pa natin nakausap mismo yung mga from Malaysian government. But we hope na hindi sana maapektuhan yun. Kasi most of the Filipinos are saying na parang bad words, diba, ang sinasabi natin sa Malaysia na kung i-analyze mo naman, hindi naman nila kasalanan yun. Kasi in their eyes, in their perspective,